Today I read an interesting article on USA Today, written by Betty Lynn Fisher, titled, "Americans Are Drowning in Auto Loan Delinquencies. Report Says Congress Needs to Fix It." I'll include a link to this article below. I encourage you to check it out. According to the author, the growing costs to buy and maintain a car, exacerbated by inflation and tariffs, are leading to rising auto loan defaults and repossessions, and a potential crisis for American consumers left unprotected by the federal government, according to a new report by a consumer advocacy organization. My friends, I hate to hear about this, but I get it. It is extremely expensive to get your vehicle maintained these days. If you have something simple that breaks, watch out. It is not going to be cheap. Now, some Americans are taking matters into their own hands. I'm going to share with you an interesting TikTok video that I watched today.
On occasion, I take the hard road instead of the easy path. But the other day I brought my car in to get inspected, and it just barely passed for the brakes and the rotors. And so while I'm sitting in the waiting room, the manager comes over to me and he says, "Hey, we can just take care of this now, like while the wheels are off. And then that way you won't have to worry about it, safety, yada, yada." So I'm like, okay, what's the quote? He quotes me $1,200 for all four, brakes and rotors, brake pads and rotors. So I'm like, I don't know anything. So I'm like, you know what? I just don't want to put that down right now. I was expecting like a $50 inspection. It passes. He goes, "It barely passes." And I said, "Okay, but you're going to put a sticker on it?" "Yep, but it barely passes," like really pressuring me. So I'm like, all right. So I just kind of like look at the rundown, and it looks like the parts, they're like really marked up. And labor seems like somewhat reasonable, but also he wanted to charge me 2 hours for the front axle and 2 hours for the back axle for 4 hours. And I'm like, I feel like I've seen people do this and like it's pretty quick. So I looked it up, and like come to find out, if you're going to do it yourself and you're fairly experienced, it takes you about like half hour each time. So I'm like, well, they have the tools and they're pretty experienced. So let me just like price it out. So I go to my local garage and I ask them, and they say, yeah, it'd be like $500 to $600 to do all four. So I was like, all right, that's reasonable. And I'm like, let me go and get the parts. So I go and buy the parts. It's $300 for everything. So I go back to the local garage and I said, okay, I got all the parts. Like, what's the cost now in labor? And he goes, well, it's going to be $250 an axle. So 2 axles in the car, so $500. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's, I thought it was like $500 to $600, and I just spent $300 on parts. So this is going to be an $800 job, which is still a little bit cheaper than the dealership that quoted me $1,200. But at the same time, it's just a lot of money. So what I decided to do was take the hard path, and so now I guess I'm doing brake pads and rotors.
I think this video was awesome. This woman took matters into her own hands and decided to change her own brake rotors and pads. And it's really not that hard to do. I've done it myself before. And I'm going to share with you a little trick. You can sometimes get lifetime pads at some auto parts stores. If you save your receipt, put it in the glove box, and then 30, 40, 50,000 miles later, those lifetime pads wear out, well, bring them back to the auto parts store along with your receipt, and they will replace them. I have done that multiple times. If you want to keep a car on the road for a long time, and you don't want to invest a lot of money in expensive repairs, well, start doing some of those repairs yourself. Now, make sure you know what you're doing, or watch a YouTube video that explains how to do it. And for something as important as brakes, you may want to have someone put their eyes on it after you're done, just to make sure you did everything correctly. Now, I'm going to share with you another interesting video that I watched today on TikTok.
I had a nail in my tire, I could see it. And so I had to get it fixed and took it to the very, very popular auto repair shop in town here. And they fixed it, and when they called me to pick it up, they said they had taken the liberty of checking over my car and had a list of things that I urgently needed to fix, including, most urgently, I had dry rot in my tires. And those could explode on the highway and send me careening into a family of 4, when we could all die in this big explosion of accident. I needed to have that repaired right away, all new tires. So I said thanks, and then took my car to my trusted mechanic. It's 30 minutes away, but so I drove there. And he looked over this list that they had given me, over $1,000, $1,500 worth of stuff, not including the tires, and he laughed and said no, they were all bull, especially the rotting tires, which actually had about 50% of its tread left. And he did tell me, though, I had a bearing going out, which I knew because I could hear it humming back there, but I knew it wasn't urgent yet. And see, this original mechanic, they just lied. And can I point out that telling somebody that something's a danger to them to make them buy something is stealing? That's stealing. They should be ashamed of themselves for looking me in the eye and trying to steal my money. But if you find a mechanic you trust, do not let them go, because they are more valuable than gold.
My friends, I hated to hear about this. This unfortunately happens all the time. There are a lot of shops who are trying to make as much money as they can, and sometimes they sell customers on work that may not need to be done. I've had it happen to me before. I took my 2004 Toyota Camry to the new car franchise dealership for an oil change. They came out and they had a whole list of things that they told me I needed to get done. It totaled over $5,000. I didn't do any of those things. And that was probably over 100,000 miles ago. My car is still on the road. Everything is fine. Sometimes these car dealership shops can really go a bit overboard when it comes to suggested maintenance. Now, I really hate to hear about folks who are being taken advantage of, especially for work that doesn't need to be done. I'm going to share with you another video from TikTok today.
How much did it cost to fix my daughter's used Kia I bought her for college? Recently, my daughter called me crying driving back from college. The battery light was on and the lights in the car were dimming, and she was on the highway and having trouble keeping control of the car. I'm not mechanical in any way, but I immediately knew that it was probably the alternator. She was able to get the car off the road and into a parking lot, and then I was able to get the car running enough to get it to a shop without having a tow truck fee. The shop called me the next day to let me know the car was fixed and they had replaced the alternator in the battery. Kind of had a feeling this was going to happen. I asked how much the damage was. Now, in my mind, I was thinking $400, maybe $500, but when they told me over $800, I was shocked. But then I looked at the prices for parts, and when did batteries get so damn expensive? And if people can't afford new cars anymore, and it's too expensive to fix their old cars, what are we going to do? I mean, 56% of Americans can't afford $1,000 for an emergency like this.
I hated to hear about this man's daughter who was so upset that she was crying when her vehicle wasn't operating correctly. In terms of what he was quoted for the battery and alternator, I'm surprised it was that inexpensive. Depending on what type of vehicle you have, it can be extremely expensive to get your alternator replaced, unless of course you do it yourself. Now, if I were going to purchase a used vehicle or even a new vehicle, I would pop the hood and I would want to see how difficult it is to access items like the alternator or the battery or the starter or the spark plugs. A lot of people don't do this. They buy a car that looks stylish, it has electronic features inside that they want, and they don't give any thought to how difficult it is going to be in the future to service some of these items. Now, on my 2004 Toyota Camry, the alternator is right up front. It's very easy to change. You could do it in less than 30 minutes yourself, even if you have little to no mechanical experience. You can watch a video online, no problem. You can get it done in short order. The same goes for the starter. You remove the battery tray, the air box, and 2 bolts, and the starter comes out. It's a really simple repair. The battery is also easily accessible. The same can't be said for a lot of vehicles that are on the road though. And you really need to be careful these days when buying a vehicle, especially if you plan to maintain it yourself. Some of these cars are getting incredibly hard to work on. And I, for one, want to own a vehicle that I can work on because I don't want to pay expensive shop rates. I'm curious what you folks think about all this. Share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing to the channel. I want to extend a special thanks to everyone who has subscribed to this channel. I want to also thank all of my channel members. If you would like to become a channel member, there is a link in the description beneath this video. You can read more about the different membership levels. Please also check out some of the great books I suggest you consider reading in the description below. I've included Amazon affiliate links to these books. As an Amazon associate, I earn from qualifying purchases. Stay healthy and wealthy. I'll see everyone in the next video.